It helps if I have the right countdown ready, but you're in not.
And do we want to add? We'll
Here
add Kyle.
we
Okay.
go. Where's the one that says generic? There it is. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Laughing Place Live, where we're going to talk about the latest news as it happens, or as it recently happened, on around the wonderful worlds of Disney. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Jana. We've been well. How are you? But we want to start by bringing in Kyle, who is currently. Where are you, Kyle?
I am in Disneyland Paris, or very close to Disneyland Paris.
And you got to, I guess, experience and preview some of their 30th anniversary. So, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so their 30th anniversary celebration kicked off on officially on Sunday, the 6th. Their actual anniversary isn't until April 12th. So as part of this, of course, they have lots of merch, lots of goodies, but they introduced a new parade/show called Dream and Shine Brighter. And there's also now a special pre-show to Disney Illuminations, which is their fireworks show, called Disney Delight. And then there's a new after show to that as well. And both of these use drone technology for the first time inside of an actual Disney park. Not like Disney Springs had a little show, but this is different when it's above a castle.
What do you think?
So the drone part of it is really amazing. The way they do it is you have this kind of quiet pre-show like we're kind of used to with projections and things like that. You have a slower version of their theme, Un Monde Si Lumi. So you have a nice, emotional moment, and then it kind of goes black, and then all out of nowhere, the drones appear forming their logo, which is the 30, which happens to make like a Mickey icon almost. And both times I've seen this now, the audience has really kind of gasped in amazement of what they're seeing. It looks amazing. And as cool as that is, then there's a post show where it's kind of like these drones it's like a curtain call, and then they get to kind of show off and do some other tricks. So it's kind of an interesting dichotomy where you have this very kind of quiet and intimate experience showing it off the technology in a really powerful way, and then at the end they really get to play and kind of it's a lot of fun.
Is this your picture? Is this a publicity image?
I think that might be my photo. So basically what I did was I took a video, and then as soon as the show ended and I stopped recording, then I pulled out my phone and snapped a few shots. So I think that might be. Let me check my phone and see if that is indeed mine or not.
I mean, the reason I ask is because it looks like, sometimes like they'll wait to get the publicity shot for like the right, everything looks perfectly, but that looks pretty impressive.
Thank you.
I loved the way that that there's a portion of it in our video that you'll see where the drones form like an orb, and then within the orb is a Mickey silhouette. And so it's just this really incredible imagery. So you not only have this beautiful 30th logo created by them, but you'll also have that, and then they become like twinkle. It's astounding. I have yet to see one of these drone shows myself. I know Disney has done it at Disney Springs during the holidays a few years ago. They had one there over the water, but I have yet to see any of these that are happening kind of here and there. Baseball stadiums are having more and more, but this one was so stunning. I mean, I am extremely jealous, but I'm thankful that you were able to get us some footage.
The globe effect you talked about, that one was my favorite of all the ones they showed. And what's kind of cool is like as they transition, they twinkle a little bit, so you know they're there and they're setting up for something, but you don't know what. So there's a lot of fun. It's surprising, like if you see the behind the scenes video that they just posted, these things are tiny, so you don't really see them otherwise. That's what I'm saying. Like when they first display this 30, you don't see them coming. I was kind of expecting that you'd like sense them or even see them and know that they were getting into position to do it, and you don't at all.
Oh, that's incredible. And as Kyle mentioned, they've put out a behind the scenes footage, and we have an article about that here on Laughing Place. So if you check the front page of Laughing Place, you can find various reports because of the Kyle and Rebecca being there at Disneyland Paris. We've published articles about the merchandise, about the evening entertainment, about the daytime parade / show that they've got going on there in the castle forecourt, I'm going to call it. And
Central Plaza is what they officially call it. Is that Rebecca or is that me?
I think that's Rebecca. So, but how?
Okay.
So they have.
Yes, I have reviews of both of the shows too. I did a review of Disney Delight and of this one that we're looking at right now, this Dream and Shine Brighter.
So, and this is, I went to a press event for Disneyland Paris, and they basically described this these kinds of things that they do in the hub as a Tokyo style show. And so, what did you think of it? I think for us that are kind of based in domestically, we're not used to the sort of hub based extravaganza.
Yeah, so I would say it's not. If you just watch it from Main Street, which I suspect someone has to, you're coming in like, oh cool, I'm here, I'm catching the parade. Then it just looks like a 3 or 4 float cavalcade, which is fine. There's lots of fun characters on it, but everything takes place at the hub. So it basically comes up Main Street, goes clockwise, and at a certain point it stops, and the characters get off and they come on these stages. And I felt like in the past I've seen some of these shows, and I know that they mostly have the stuff on these 4 stages. But I wasn't expecting that the characters would just be constantly in motion. Like you do a setup, some characters would get off and come back on. They'd get on the floats would move. They'd walk a little bit of the path. There was just always something happening. And as soon as you if you turned around to look at one stage, by the time you turn around, there's a whole new thing happening right behind you. So as you can imagine, this made it incredibly challenging for me to film and capture this. So I stitched together a few different camera angles and different performances that I saw into one cohesive video to give you an idea. And if it feels hectic, like if I'm moving around and people are walking through, that's what it's like to be here. It's a big celebration. You can see everyone's really into it. It's got a ton of energy, some characters and songs you don't often hear in the parks these days. And yeah, I think it's a ton of fun. I had a blast watching it and attempting to capture it.
I think my favorite portion was the I Have a Dream. I saw Clarice really tearing up the stage in your footage during that segment. Tiana was also up there.
I almost feel like that song with the way they do it, it makes it sound more like it comes out of Princess and the Frog than Tangled.
I agree 100%. And then a high energy rendition of How Far I'll Go, a little bit of Try Everything. It's really interesting to hear kind of some of these more modern era films now more and more in the parks, but they also sprinkled in a little bit of When You Wish Upon a Star. I think I heard a little bit of You Can Fly. I know there was You've Got a Friend in Me. Just a wide variety of characters too. Peter Pan, Genie, you see Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps here. So the crowd seemed to be really into it, Kyle.
Yeah, they definitely were. I mean, it gets a little crazy at times because people are running from one stage to another. Actually, when I saw it the second time, I had Becca with me. And I'm like, okay, I need you to take some still photos while I'm trying to film. And I'm like, but it's going to be crazy. Like, there's all 4 things. You're going to have to keep like running around and grabbing shots. And she didn't quite comprehend. But she figured out real fast what I meant. But she's just like, what are you talking about? Like, they're just going to be on the 4 stages. It's not that hard. And then she's like, oh, no, I get it now.
Yeah. And there's even bubbles. There's a little bit
bubbles and sparks at the same time. Yeah.
I noticed that too.
And they have those beautiful fountains in front of the castle. So all of this just comes together. So, I mean, to call it a parade is definitely a misnomer.
Yeah, no, I liked the frenzied fun. That's I think that were the words used, and they seem quite apropos based upon the footage you guys grabbed. And I love the way that you brought us like several angles. You really gave us an impression of what it would be like to just stand right there and try and kind of capture all the excitement and energy while we're there. And it's in English and French, right? Kyle, they go back and forth between the two.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. I feel like this show definitely has a lot of English, mostly because the songs are usually in English. Like it, except for in the fireworks, there's some French songs, but I feel like usually the songs are more English. And these are like really mashups. Like you're not hearing any full songs for the most part. Like they incorporate a lot. There's even two Hunchback songs thrown in there. So I don't know if that's just because they're in France, or that just shows you the kind of the depth of the library they're working with.
And
this is a little off topic, but I got to share my favorite English-French Disneyland Paris story. They had a show, I don't know if it's still there, like Mickey and the Magician or something like that, where he...
That's coming back in, I think, next month. It's reopening at the Animagique Theater.
So what I love about that is Merlin speaks French and Lumiere speaks English.
I was going to ask you, I saw Mickey, Minnie, and the gang in kind of these really sparkly iridescent outfits. Are those parade outfits, or is that also how they are, for the celebration?
Yeah, that's for the celebration. I've spotted them. I think you can meet them elsewhere, but I've seen them above the train station early in the morning, waving at guests in those costumes. So
cool. And here we had Joy also on stage. Kyle, you guys also came across a lot of special merchandise. I was going to ask you about that as well. Anything in particular jump out at you?
So my favorite is the Spirit jersey, which is why I bought one. But I'm currently washing it right now so I can wear it on the plane home tomorrow. But what I love about it is it has the 30 logo on the front, and the back is made up. All the letters kind of represent different attractions in the park, and they're French style, the Disneyland Paris style. So it's a lot of fun. And I was really sad when I first went into the shop because I only saw extra small and then medium. I didn't find small, but I went back and I was able to find it. And so that's my pick, but there's a ton. They actually have a few different lines. They have their main one is all the same kind of style, those kind of blues and pinks and purples, that iridescent colors. But then they have another one that kind of celebrates Euro Disney and has a completely different style to it. And that's all part of a different collection that's also part of the 30th anniversary celebration. And what else was I going to say about the merchandise and my Spirit jersey? Oh, so the one thing that's not great, in my opinion, is that all of the 30th anniversary merchandise, except for like a few pins and things like that, are at one shop on Main Street, and it's not the Emporium. And so all day yesterday and mostly today, it wasn't quite as bad, but these lines would go the entire length of the Discovery Arcade, or at least half that every time I checked. So wow. People are waiting a good hour to 2 hours just to get into the shop to purchase this merchandise right now. And it's not even the actual anniversary yet.
Wow. And as Brian shares, because this is what you're seeing right now, this is Disneyland Paris's Dream Shine Brighter show, parade, cavalcade, dance party, whatever you enjoy about Disney entertainment. It seems to kind of be there. A little bit of bubbles, a little bit of fireworks. You'll find that video here on our YouTube channel. You can also find Kyle and Becca's coverage of the nighttime entertainment with the beautiful drones that we talked about right at the top of our LP Live, and also our merchandise and even some food, right, Kyle? There's been some unique food offerings over here at Disneyland Paris.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried any of the food yet, but there's tons of sweets, several different places. I wanted to buy, they have a shortbread cookie that's €12, but it's like the size of your head. So I wanted that, but unfortunately the place that, one of the places I knew had it was closed. Then we also bought a mug cake, but then we had to figure out how to get the mug back home safely, and so we bailed on that idea too. But.
Also, the other element of the celebration is these Garden of Wonders figures, and I know that we tweeted out some images, and I believe we also published an article about that. Can you talk a little bit about those, Kyle?
Yes, they have these different themed gardens with these character mobiles, and so each one has a theme. There's different gardening there, and we did find out. I actually went to a panel with some of the creatives, and they were saying that as the seasons go on, you'll see those kind of change out with new colors and different types of plants. But so there's several different characters. I think there are 10 gardens in total. So I have video of all those. I'm actually stitching them together into one video at the moment. So we will have that soon. But yeah, they're pretty fun. They just spin. There's some fun little, not necessarily Easter eggs, but like details and things in there. And they just look really nice around the hub area, and they look great at night too. There's some black light and some other effects that they do. So that was something I wasn't expecting, is that they look cool at night as an addition to being fun during the day.
Well, thanks, Kyle. We look forward to getting you back in America because there's a shareholder meeting and that's your thing. So hope you had a wonderful time.
Thank you. Yes, it's always fun coming here as a proud pass annuel. It's always a great time.
And so next we're going to bring in our resident Muppet, well, one of our resident Muppet experts, Mike Celestino, to talk about the newly announced Muppet series called Muppets Mayhem. I'll read a little bit about what they had to say. So it's a new show coming to Disney Plus, greenlit, scripted, unlike Muppets Now. It's featuring not so much the whole group, but focusing on the Electric Mayhem as it records its first ever album. Lily Singh, he may recognize from NBC's late night lineup, as well as Dollface on Hulu, plays the human role of Nora, A&R executives, who is tasked with managing all these folks. It's created by Adam F. Goldberg, who you probably know from The Goldbergs, and it's also being written by Bill Beretta, who performs as Dr. Teeth, as sort of the Muppet representative, and a gentleman by the name of Jeff Yorks, and it is produced through Disney by Muppet Studios, which is parts of Disney Parks, through Disney branded television, as an ABC signature production. So there's lots of quotes here talking about from every executive from across the company, but mostly saying how excited they are to work with Bill from the Muppet side and Adam F. Goldberg from the television side. So, Mike, what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I'm excited for this. This is the Electric Mayhem have been around for 40 plus years, 45 years, and I'm super psyched for them to get their own series. I've been a fan since I was very, very young. I don't know much about Lily Singh. I don't think I've seen her perform in any capacity, but I've heard the name. I'm not too familiar with her, so I don't know. I can't really comment on her. But yeah, I'm always excited to get more Muppets content, especially original stuff like this that they haven't done before. I think on our Muppets podcast, I think either I or Bill Gausel pitched a behind the music type documentary about the Electric Mayhem, or like a music biopic about the Electric Mayhem. So this is kind of along the same lines as that idea, which is great, and I'm glad to see it happening.
Yeah, I'm also excited about this project, Mike. I'm coming at it from as a fan of the Goldbergs. That it's a comedy series that has a heart to it because it's kind of in that family realm, and so that's for me a lot of what I enjoy about the Muppets, kind of historically, is that it has kind of a little bit of that softness. It's got its edge with it, the type of humor, but yet there's always kind of a heart to it, a come together element. And so I'm eager to see how Goldberg is going to bring us this is one of my favorite characters from the original film. Actually, I would play these particular songs off that album over and over. So I'm really excited. Janice is a blast, right? She always gets caught off guard in those moments. She's talking and everybody gets quiet and she ends up saying what, and I was walking the beach naked, and stuff like that. So, it's gonna be fun to see. And we're on the heels of the Muppet Haunted what was it? Muppet Haunted Mansion? Is that what the title
Mhm.
was? Did you enjoy? I can't recall your review, your talk on that one. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I liked Muppets Haunted Mansion quite a bit. I've seen it a few times actually, and I like that they're going to be doing these projects that are kind of zooming in on different Muppets. Like that one was definitely focused on Gonzo and Pepe as the stars, with the other Muppets characters like checking in every once in a while in the background. And I imagine this will be kind of the same thing, where we're probably not going to be getting rid of everybody else, but they'll probably pop up here and there
Right.
as like part of the story or part of these characters' journeys. But yeah, it's cool that the Electric Mayhem will be getting the spotlight like this, because I know that they've performed at some music festivals in recent years and stuff like that, which is really unique for a band made out of puppets. But yeah, they do have a pretty big cult following, and glad that they're going to be getting their own series.
I know we mentioned, I went through the cast and I mentioned Lily Singh. I don't want to be accused of being a humanist. And also included in the cast list are Dr. Teeth on vocals and keyboards, Animal on drums, Floyd Pepper on vocals and bass, and Janice on vocals and lead guitar, Zoot on saxophone, and Lips on trumpet.
And Lips, there's Lips. Okay, I was like, Lips is a name that didn't pop it up to me as like instantly recognizable. So that's a newer, like for me, I wasn't as aware of that character name. But it's a fun time to be a Muppets fan. I mean, we had the Muppets Haunted Mansion. There's the tease of the upcoming Lego minifigs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So,
Lego can't give me any a break here. I'm buying Lego. Yeah, I was gonna say that I think Disney Plus is such a great avenue for the Muppets, because you can make content like this and like Muppets Haunted Mansion and not have the huge pressure of a theatrical movie to make a certain amount of money or whatever. But I think Muppets Haunted Mansion was really well received. A lot of people were talking about it. So to me, this is probably building off of that success, and probably isn't going to cost a tremendous amount of money, and doesn't need to rake in the big bucks at the box office to be considered, a kind of a hit on Disney Plus. So yeah, I think I would love to see more stuff like this coming out of the Muppets studio.
And I know you've covered the volume, or whatever.
Yeah,
it's the real word is for it, but
stagecraft.
The Muppets seem like a prime example of somebody who could really be effective with that, because obviously when you're involving the Muppets, you have sort of inherent staging challenges, especially when they're interacting with humans. And instead of having to make that work on a fully realized soundstage, I would think that would give them more flexibility to get ready.
Yeah, and I could tell in the Muppets Haunted Mansion that they were shooting against what wasn't actually a set that they had built, But in learning a little bit more about the production, because I saw a panel on the making of the Muppets Haunted Mansion at Season Screamings at the end of the year last year, which is a horror convention that was like also tied into the Christmas holiday. Why there was a Muppets Haunted Mansion panel doesn't really go with the Christmas theme, but anyway, that was Kirk Thatcher, the director, was there talking about the production, about how they used technology similar to what they do with The Mandalorian to produce that special, where it's basically a giant LED screen behind them, creating the backgrounds in real time. And yeah, that just seems like ready-made for the Muppets to have more flexibility, like you said, in exploring different environments.
Well, thanks, Mike. I guess we'll have you and Bill on more frequently to discuss the show as it gets closer. We do not, I believe, have any sort of expected premiere date or season. Or
well, they said that they're shooting in April, so it's going to be a while.
Yeah. So, so thank you so much for joining us.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. And next we've got Alex joining us. to talk about Turning Red and Raven's Home. Why don't we start with Turning Red? And Alex, your review just went up this morning at 6 a.m. What did you think of the film?
I really liked it, and I was nervous about this one. I had seen the first 20-ish minutes a little bit early for a long lead day, and where that ended up, I was a little nervous about this film as a whole. Stylistically, it's very different for Pixar. It doesn't necessarily look like your typical Pixar film. It's very it's stylized in a different way. Not that the other Pixar films aren't stylized, but this one doesn't necessarily look like the other Pixar films, sort of in the same way Good Dinosaur doesn't necessarily look like it sits on a shelf with all the other Pixar films. But the look of the film has grown on me. What I really appreciate about Turning Red is that it takes a lot of fun twists and turns. So they kind of keep setting things up where you think the story is going to go one way and then it'll take another left turn. So it really kept you as an audience on your toes. I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so I'm very nostalgic for the era that this takes place in. The boy band Four Town is a lot of fun. It's really an amalgamation of NSYNC, complete with the asterisk in their name, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, O-Town. To keep it relevant for kids, they have peppered in a K-pop element to the group. I think there's one K-pop member. But one of the things that's really funny is there's two Aarons in the group. There's Aaron T and Aaron B. And it really reminded me of Spice Girls, Mel C, Mel B, how there were two Melanies in Spice Girls. And yeah, there was just a lot of fun little inside jokes like that. What I really appreciated about it is it's not just one thing. It's a story about not only coming of age, but also about family, friendship, self-confidence. So I think there's a lot of great messages in Turning Red. It is a little bit allegorical for transitioning into puberty, but not in a way that's super on the nose or that a parent would be very embarrassed about with their kid. And I think what's nice about it is this can be used as potentially a talking point about those changes that happen in your life. In this case, May is turning into a giant red panda. But, in other cases, our hormones get out of control and we lose control of ourselves and don't know how to navigate the world. And, so I think it's a fun way for parents to talk to their kids. And the other thing that made me feel a little old is the era that this takes place in, 2002. It's been 20 years. So a lot of those people, if you were 13 in 2002, like May is, then you're 33 now and maybe have kids who are in the PG age range to watch Turning Red. So I think this is a good film that the whole family is going to really enjoy, especially kind of the average age range of parents with kids in the under 10 crowd.
Yeah, you know what else made me feel old? Pixar's 25th animated feature.
Wow. Really? 25th?
Yep. And they have not done one a year.
Right.
Wow.
I just remember being at Hollywood Studios doing the animation tour, and I just saw the trailer for Toy Story, and I remember asking the guy, do you know anything about Toy Story? And he goes no, I don't know. I think it's just going to be a little thing they're going to try. I don't think that it's not really part of Disney, which is true, but it was just it was so under the radar that even the cast members at the park didn't think of anything.
That's
well,
amazing.
when you read the book by the former Pixar CFO, whose name is escaping me, just about the early days of that company and how strapped they were for not only cash but also human resources, physical resources. It's a miracle. It really is a miracle that Toy Story not only got made but became the juggernaut success that it was.
When I think of Pixar films, I think of films that typically feel very broad in their targeting, demographically. This one feels kind of what I would call more traditional, family film entertainment. I mean, how did you feel? Am I totally off base or?
No, I think you're right on. I was actually thinking about you, Rebecca, as I did the review, because I know you aren't the biggest fan of Pixar's canon of films, and
Very
oftentimes because the message is a little too hard, too pushed, and just like with a design to make you cry. This one, I didn't personally tear up. I think you might, as a mother, feel some of that. But you've seen Bao, and there's a theme that Domishi plays with here as well, which is that generational divide and cultural divide of not only, you know, the times of what's appropriate for a parent when they were growing up to their child growing up now, and the discord that can happen there, but also the cultural difference between a parent having grown up in another country and another culture, and then their child being sort of divided between these two. So the family is like the mother immigrated to Toronto as a child, so she has this history of China behind her. May has only experienced Chinese culture through her parents, but also is very much westernized. And so, you know, that's one of those things. Like May with her friends is a little bit boy crazy, loves this four-town group, is kind of a wild and outgoing child. And then when she's at home, she's very introverted, very reserved. Oh, I don't like boy bands. That's not for me, you know? So it's like she's living this double life. And that's part of what, when her mom kind of finds out about who she is outside the house, is when the inciting incident comes for her to poof into this giant red panda uncontrollably.
Oh, wow. It's the character is terribly adorable, and merchandise has already begun to hit shelves. I saw a tweet on our feed. Mike Celestino spotted a turning red the little panda hat with the little ears, so very cute. And I saw a stand-up at California Adventure, so very adorable. I'm looking forward to seeing more of this character here and there and everywhere, because that's what's going to happen, right?
Yeah. And the hat and the hoodie that's going around, there's a fur hoodie with the ears and the tail on the back. Those are both kind of like in-universe items from film.
Okay.
So I can see both of those becoming popular, because I think kids are going to love the film, and then I think they're going to want to be like May. And, you know, she kind of embraces her red panda self, which is fun.
Sweet.
So you also reviewed another show for us, or did a story on it. Raven's Home is coming back for a 5th season, which is unprecedented in terms of Disney Channel series.
The original That's So Raven, I believe, ran for 5 seasons. That one was one of the first that they let go past the 65 episode limit that they had forever.
So that's 10 seasons of Raven.
That's 10 seasons of Raven, and that doesn't count Cory in the House.
It's the RCU. But this season takes a big sort of shift, right?
Yeah, this is a huge overhaul of the show. I was worried about it when they announced it. So to recap for anyone who maybe knows a little bit about that, so Raven and Raven's Home but hasn't been following it, the ending of season 4 felt like an ending of the show. The Raven's 2 kids, Nia and Booker, had gone off with their dad to help him move to Chicago, where they lived. And so it was kind of like, oh, the family's all going to be back together. Chelsea's son was going off to London to visit his dad, but going to be coming back. So basically Raven's Home as you knew it, like where they ended it, was everyone was going to be together. No one was going to, you know, the kids, part of the kind of overarching through line of Raven's Home was the kids kind of missing the presence of their dad, and Raven having to fill in kind of both those roles. The other thing I would say about Raven's Home up until this point is the show, even though it was called Raven's Home, Raven felt more like a supporting character. It really felt like Booker's show. Booker, her son, was psychic now, so she was, you know, kind of helping him with his abilities a little bit. But it was rare that you would get an episode where Raven even had a vision on Raven's Home. It was mostly Booker's visions, and Booker kind of repeating Raven's same mistakes from when he was a kid. So drastic changes. Raven's dad, Victor, who's back on the show, played by the same actor who played him on That's So Raven, has had a mild heart attack. Nia is off in, I think they said Brazil, on a humanitarian effort, helping to build houses for people in need. So just Raven and Booker go out to San Francisco to see her dad. In the first episode, it seems like it's just going to be this one-off. They're just visiting, but then they find that Victor is incapable of changing his lifestyle to healthy eating habits and taking care of himself. And so Raven decides, I need to just stay here to make sure, basically become a parent to my dad, make sure that he does what he needs to do to be healthy and have longevity. And so kind of transitioning into the second episode, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but it seems like this is Raven's show again. Raven has visions in both of those episodes. I don't think Booker had a vision in either of them. You were watching, Benji, but I don't recall Booker's psychic abilities coming into play at all. They have introduced a new cast of supporting characters. So in addition to Victor joining the show, there's basically 3 new kids. There's Alice, who's the youngest one. She is Raven's second cousin. I don't know what that makes her to Booker, but they just simplify it and call him her cousin. It's Raven's cousin's daughter. I think that's how
so
second
it's
cousin
Booker's
works.
second cousin. It's Raven's cousin. Yeah.
I don't know what she is to Raven. Anywho, she calls her Auntie Raven, but that maybe second aunt. Anywho, so there's her. There's the little kid. Then there's 2 neighbor kids who are overly involved in Victor's life. One of whom kind of becomes the Chelsea character that's missing, and a little bit of Tess thrown in. He's a little bit slow to catch on. I wouldn't quite call him dim. But he's also a little bit zany, a little bit of a jack of all trades. In the first episode, he's volunteering at the hospital. In the second episode, he's now an employee of the Chill Grill, which is the restaurant that Victor owned before he became the executive head chef at the White House in Cory in the House. They briefly mentioned that. They never say the name Cory, but they briefly mention, like, when did you leave Washington? When did you go back to San Francisco? Because you were, the White House executive chef. In
the set decoration, you can see like a presidential proclamation. You can't read it, but it's got seal and everything, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
They gently fold in the Cory in the House storyline without ever committing to having any of the Cory in the House cast come in for a visit. And then that's the other thing so overall, I enjoyed the show. I loved That's So Raven. It came out kind of at the end of my Disney Channel era where I was the target demographic, but completely honest, I continued to watch it even though I was beyond those years. So, and I've always loved Raven Simone. And so I'm excited to see her sort of back in the lead role. It was really fun seeing her back in these sets. They do still use the Raven's Home theme song. They've re-recorded it with just Raven and Booker. But it's funny because they do these new establishing shots of San Francisco, and you can see how much has changed. Like the Salesforce Tower really looms large in those skyline moments, especially with its LED crown. But the music is different. It's still the Raven's Home music, but they've kind of funked it up a little bit to keep it more in the style of the That's a Raven interstitial music. And yeah, I think for any fans who maybe didn't follow Raven's Home all that closely, but have a lot of nostalgia for That's So Raven, I feel like this season is for you. I worry for the show's future because it is such a drastic overhaul, and shows rarely survive this level of change up. We've recently been watching The Golden Palace, which came to Hulu, but that's a pretty drastic change from the Golden Girls. It didn't work. It lasted 1 season. One of my favorite shows that nobody remembers, The Torkelsons, also had a huge overhaul for season 2 and became Torkelson's Almost Home, where the mom ditched all but 2 of her 5 kids and moved and became a nanny to Brittany Murphy and James Marsden. So
I will say, having seen this, Raven does dress up, and it kind of felt like it was fun to get, and they acknowledge it in the show. Raven gets into antics more, which is to her
that was a
strength.
big part of That was a
Yeah.
big part of that. So Raven was Raven sees a vision, thinks the worst is going to happen, tries to avoid it, and often by dressing up as somebody else. And in the premiere episode, she dresses up as a doctor. So I mean, even in this picture, you can see her on a mechanical bull with a cowgirl hat on. But I mean, in the original show, I think she pretended to be her mother who wasn't overweight, but she did it by getting into a fat suit and like coming into school for a parent teacher conference to avoid her mom seeing her bad grades, you know, fun stuff like that. I think it seems like we're going back into that formula from That's So Raven, which is fun. And if you think too much about it, disconcerting that she hasn't grown at all. But I'm glad to
No,
see it
don't
back.
think. No, you don't think. Just
Yeah,
enjoy your characters.
And she will never learn that what she sees is not what she thinks it is.
Right? Right? No, save stick. All
Well, I guess that was good timing. We had everything, both our internets went out at the same time, or everything had an issue. But anyway, but that's our show. So thanks so much for participating. Oh, I should let you know, you will be back at 4, I believe, today.
Yes, we'll be back at 4 o'clock to discuss all the various happenings at Disney parks and a few other parks as well. There's been lots of food and wine festivals launching in various parks, Epcot and Disney California Adventure. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about Disneyland Paris as well, but if you missed it, that's how we started this show. So hit rewind, check it out. So yeah, so that's what we'll be doing right here at 4 o'clock. We will be back with that. And will you be back later this week, Ben, with Marvel, or is
I'll be back at Marvel time. I think we moved it to 3 because of shareholder meeting. So
well, then that's what we should highlight. You'll be back later this week to talk about the shareholder meeting.
And then also today at 2-ish, we will be covering Christine McCarthy's doing an investor conference. We'll be live blogging that, which will kind of lead in straight to Parks Talk. So
Fantastic.
And then tomorrow you're doing something fun, right?
I am so excited. I am heading back to the Disneyland Resort for the first time since the COVID pandemic shut things down. So it's my first trip back to the Disneyland Resort, and I'm getting to check out the what's it called? Oh no, actually I did go back one other time. I totally forgot, but it's been about a year. I will be checking out the Toontown. We're gonna go and check out Toontown because it's closing its gates on Tuesday night. It will be closed on Wednesday, and it will stay that way for quite a while as they make all the various changes. And to Toontown, we're expecting Roger Rabbit Cartoon Spin to stick around, and Mickey and Minnie's House to stick around, but we're kind of unsure exactly how, other things are going to appear when those gates reopen. And we do know that we will have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway back when that happens. So
I've been having Craig and Company's Rockin' Toontown stuck in my head all week.
We're going to Toontown. You can do anything. Yeah.
Which I loved as a kid. I sang that song so much, and then as I was humming it, I realized the lyrics are terrible.
Everybody
dance and sing. When you have a song and you have to basically put in sing, that means you've run out of lyrical prowess. But yeah, it's a fun special too. If you can, it's on YouTube. You can check it out.
Oh man, now I'm gonna have to check it out. I totally had forgotten about that. All I can remember is the story that our pal Doug Marsh used to tell about the earliest days of Toontown. There was this little parade, and it was to hype Toontown, and it was Mickey and Minnie in a convertible, right? As I recall, I hope I don't get it too wrong.
The way I recall the story was it was the opening day.
Okay.
And they did a cavalcade.
Okay.
With Mickey, and then a big sign at the end that says "Follow me to Toontown."
Yeah, and then
they had the press event and close the gates.
Yeah, and so it was just for the media. So it was this lovely cavalcade down to the gates, and then nope, sorry, it's not technically open yet.
I'm vamping because I just got something. I know you got to run, but I want.
No, it's okay. Going to
I wanna,
Mickey's. Do you
share
remember that
this-
one? Toontown, Toontown.
No.
Going to Mickey's Toontown.
Yeah, don't relive your childhood.
Oh,
So,
breaking
let me
news,
see.
huh?
Well, it's not news. It's just something cool that just popped up, and I think it's cool. So I'm going to share it.
Hey, we're on the internet. We're supposed to overhype. Breaking news. This is so exciting. You've never seen anything like it before. Ooh.
So
I'm getting a little
Scentsy is
Oh.
doing one of they're one of those like melted wax makes it smell nice kind of places. The official fragrance of the Walt Disney World Resort, and they're doing a 50th anniversary Cinderella Council warmer. It appears. Don't have a lot of details, but it's pretty. So, kind of has that throwback to like what I consider like really 80s.
That
like,
is pretty.
Like collectibles.
One of the things I like is the way that their warmers have this kind of glow from, it's pretty. I know with the Cinderella coach, the windows, there's actually like several different windows, so you can like have a different window kind of facing you. But you said we're doing a live blog in a little while. And I just wanted to focus on that again. Who is it that's going to be doing this presentation, Ben? And
Chrissy
why
McCarthy, Disney CCFO. You may remember her as the person who said that smaller portion sizes could have a positive effect on Disney fans' waist sizes. Not an inaccurate statement, but yeah. So we'll see what.
Is there anything? I mean, do you expect anything of note to come out? And what is it that you're going to be following this kind of looking for?
I mean, it's interesting because it's like a couple days before the shareholder meeting, but I think the big question will be about Disney Plus and Hulu. There's been a lot of movement there. NBC Universal's removing their sort of same day, day after content from the service next season. Disney Plus is now adding R-rated content under parental controls domestically.
There's been some rumor of ad-supported, right, as well?
Yeah, well, there's not a rumor. They announced that they're going to be providing ad-supported later this year in the United States. No pricing or no date beyond later this year, but didn't revise their attendance goals. So, I mean, not attendance goals, subscriber goals. Okay. So I really think they view that as a way of getting in people, at a lower price point. Although, I mean, it's not like a $20 service to begin with. So we'll see what impact it actually has. But basically, the lines between Hulu and Disney Plus are rapidly disintegrating. Hulu had ad-supported and not ad-supported. Disney was always not ad-supported. Well, now it is. Hulu had R-rated content. Disney Plus didn't in the United States. Well, now it will. So at what point is this just silly? I think is a question. And then will we see it kind of merge into one app, or maybe have different access levels? NBC Universal still owns a fair chunk of it, but once that kind of unwinds in a couple years, it'll be interesting to see. I think the biggest flaw in Disney's strategy was, and I understand why they had it, but they had the thought that, okay, Disney Plus will be for kids and families. Adults can come and see, what they want, but it's a family service. And then we'll have Hulu for, general entertainment, general content. But most Disney Plus subscribers don't have kids. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't need to be family friendly, as long as you have an option, parental controls. So right. I think if they knew that then, we might have had a whole other rollout, but they learned their lesson, and I think you can see them pivoting it to being more general entertainment as well. And then if you're going to put R-rated Hulu content on R-rated Marvel content on Disney Plus, then what's the point of Hulu?
Right.
And then obviously people are going to want to look at like theme park attendance numbers and stuff, and which I don't think, for our audience, they look at wait times and kind of extrapolate from there. But, and then always with these things, it is always, what do they say that we don't expect? Mm-hmm. They usually go into these things with certain things they want to get out there because of SEC regulations, they can't just, leak it, right? Like it's got to be, they announce something. So they'll use this opportunity as something that maybe they don't want to put out a press release, maybe revising targets or something like that as a way of doing it, legally. That's why they're live streamed. So you don't have to go to these events, that Joe investor still has the same access as someone actually attending. So
do you anticipate that we'll get any further insight into Genie Plus as a revenue stream?
I don't know. I mean, we just got update last month, which gave us numbers. I don't know if we'll get another update.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's enough data. I don't know if a month is going to be enough to move the needle. But it's also a Q&A session, so you never know what questions someone's going to ask.
Right.
You always sort of start with like what they, you can tell what they want to say, but then if someone asks a question specifically about it, and then there's probably sports rights talk, like NFL Sunday Ticket still out there.
Yep. And there's been some big name hires and shuffling around within the NFL commentator world, and I know that that's still where Al Michaels will land, right? That's still a discussion being had as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, especially we know Brian Griese is going to the 49ers as a quarterback coach, so and I don't think it's been officially announced, but it's been sort of not debunked that Troy Aikman will be a new Monday Night Football analyst. And then also, they're going to need, because of the number of increased games, they're going to need a second booth. That's, and how they handle that. Will it be, an A team and then a B team? Will it be two teams that kind of work around logistics of other things? I don't know what they're going to do. They probably don't know what they're going to do. But
so we anticipate learning a little bit more about kind of where the Disney company goals are, what kinds of where they're headed with this is what I'm taking, or
I mean, I think it's the CFO. It's not probably not going to talk too much about strategy. I mean, she'll talk a little bit, but like, will the Disney resume the dividend? It's probably another question. It's going to be most of the value of the company or most of the value comes, the two big questions are, Disney Plus, like where do they see it going? And then, theme park COVID impact.
Right.
And, I have my questions I would ask her, but those are probably not going to ask. Like my big question right now is CapEx spending at the parks. You have a big sort of turnover at Imagineering because of the impending move to Florida. And then, they obviously and wisely, cut back during COVID to save cash because they needed it. And, now that attendance has risen, capital expenditures has not increased proportionally.
And when you say capital expenditures, for people who aren't in the fiscal world, what exactly, as a fan, what is that? Sure. What does that mean to me?
That's basically new stuff and refurbishments. It's not something that's so you have operating, which would be, the cost of running the ride, the cost of the basic maintenance, the cost of, opening the gates. And you have that has to happen. Capital expenditures is more project based. So like new attractions, major refurbishments that are not just seasonal, investing back into the product to grow it. So, it could be something as simple as like new carpet at the Grand Floridian, or it could be, Cosmic Rewind. But obviously when you look at that number as just sort of a barometer of, how much Disney's spending on growing their parks business, which could also include, stuff like the Disney housing development storytellers by Story Living. But that is also going to be a low capital investment because they're not actually building the houses. They're just developing it. So there's Imagineering costs and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of like investment cost.
Yeah. So that'll be part of the talk that'll be happening on our live blog as we follow the presentation by Disney's chief financial officer, Christine. Is it Christine McCarthy?
Yeah, Christine McCarthy if it's in a press release. Christine McCarthy if you're talking to her in person.
Okay.
Robert A. Iger, no, Bob Iger, but yeah.
And
Yeah.
then later today, at 4:00, we'll be having ridiculous fun, just talking about Disney theme park nonsense and
Sure.
having a good time.
Yeah, and if she mentioned anything about the parks, I'm sure you guys will hash that out.
For sure.
And then it's going to be crazy. We got lots going on. Mike's going to be at Villains Night tomorrow. We've got more coverage coming from Flower and Garden Festival, Aquatica, Busch Gardens, Dollywood.
Yep.
So
lots going on here at Laughing Place from within the Disney world, as well as other themed entertainment locations. Reviews of shows appearing on ABC, Disney Plus, Hulu, and various other locations. So be sure and check out laughingplace.com. If you don't follow us on Twitter, give us a follow. We'll keep you up to date on all the happenings in the Disney world. And if you enjoyed this, give it a like. It helps other people find us. We greatly appreciate it. If you don't want to miss out on all the other live stuff we've got going on, including our Disney Parks talk this afternoon, be sure and subscribe, hit the bell, because the bell will be like ding, 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 ding. They're going live. They're here. So hopefully we'll see those of you who joined us here again. And tell your friends. Stop by Laughing Place. They got Disney news and fun and discussion. And that's what we've been doing around here, and we look forward to continuing it for a long time to come.
Yeah, you're a hype man. You're a resident DJ Khalid.
Yeah, I try. Bye, Ben.
Bye.